Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's Thursday, the 14th of September.
Yes.
And we have, this is Sue Alcock with Kathy Bergen, and we are very happy to be with Edna and Les Fargo. And they're going to be talking about the Arrowhead collection, but I'd like them first of all to introduce themselves.
We were farmers.
Can you give your names and where are we
Yeah.
filming this?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
filming.
but we were only farmers for a little while.
We're giving this little bit of information from our basement in Watrous, Saskatchewan.
Excellent. And are you happy to do the recording for
Yes.
the Watrous and Manitou Beach Heritage
Yes.
Centre? That's wonderful.
We're actually proud for people to find out that there were things like this in such small surroundings, you know.
So I'll let you carry on telling us how you found the arrowheads. and-
Oh, Dad had found the peace pipe in the flint. It'd be a scraper, they called it. And it's really a perfect flint scraper, and it's a perfect pipe. It's not broken or nothing. Then we found, he had found another, two other pipes, but they were broken, like, you know. And that was my dad, John, and Mary Fargo. Yes, and he found that 1926, the year I was born. Or it could have been actually I was hatched. And anyway, he had mentioned to different people, and different people come to see it, and we didn't even know what an arrowhead was like. And then we had two outfits when we were farming, equipment like, you know, machinery, and he was on the one side of the field and I was on the other. And all of a sudden he stopped the tractor and he was down on his hands and knees. And I kept watching and he didn't seem to move that much. He moved a little bit one way and a little bit other, like, and then I thought to myself, by God, he's got a heart attack. So I unhitched from my machine and I went and rode gear through the field where we were summer following. And by God, he said, look what I found. And he found an arrowhead. And within that area, I'd say 6 feet square, we found about 15. And then Dad was really fussy about a summer follow, you know, and he turned around and he kept it black all the time. But that field was worked more than any other field. That was really black. And after rain or so forth, by golly, he'd go out and look for arrowheads. And he told me, let's go and look. And by golly, we went. And now who was it? Anita. She was only about, what, 6, 5?
Yeah.
She come with Grandpa.
She'd
So
like
we were,
to do that.
and we used to go up and down the field. And Grandpa had a stick, and he kept marking that, you know, he had walked. And so he wouldn't be going over the same area again looking. And sometime we found one, sometime we found 8, 10. And actually we were just lucky at the time. Then we kept working the land every time, and by getting harrow out, and after rains or a little bit of wind, we went looking for arrowheads.
So this was all sort of on 1/4 section?
1/4, yes, yes.
And we didn't hear of any land near to us where they had arrowheads found.
Because presumably your dad would be talking to his neighbours about finding these
Mhm.
things,
Oh,
which
yes.
would make you think that they should be looking.
But they didn't
Yes.
find them.
Find.
Yeah.
Well, maybe odd ones found one or something, but we were the lucky ones at the time.
And what was your dad's name?
John Peter Fargo, and Mum's was Mary Kathleen Fargo.
But I'll let you in on a little secret. Grandpa used to be kind of cheeky, you know. He would sneak out and pick arrowheads instead of going to church.
He was obviously passionate about finding arrowheads.
Grandma wasn't very happy, but
But Danita was always anxious to go with them.
Yeah.
she went with him quite a bit.
And Danita was his daughter?
That
Our
was
daughter, our
our
oldest
oldest
daughter.
Yes.
Ah.
And of course, these two were too young to get out in the field.
So over the years, you obviously spent time mounting these, or your dad did.
Yes.
That was a lot of work.
We had to make the frames and then get the material and screws, you know, to hold the glass in place and the arrowheads. It was a good hobby.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Pardon?
Do you have any of these as a favorite?
In a way, and I seem to like them all. Yes.
Or any special story about any of the frames?
Not really. We had fun.
So who was the artistic one, you or your dad?
Pardon?
Who was the artistic person, you, your dad, or Edna?
Her, the wife Edna, and Mum, my mother.
We kind of dreamed up little patterns and stuff. And
Yeah, because you've got some beautiful layouts.
See, and then we had another, I'd say 1/3 my brother took. He's got a Regina, I mean he's passed away. And he has it down there. So we found approximately 3,000, I would say 3,000 arrowheads altogether.
And do you know what types of arrowhead they are?
We have the archaeologists here.
yes, they have a lot of different names.
Yes. And the archaeologists come from Saskatoon every second year or so, and Regina. And they kept coming and coming and coming, you know, and they were sure interested in it. And then Dad kind of thought, now what should I do with it, you know, and as the years go by. And Dad figured, well, if you divide it would kind of spoil the, it would spoil the whole arrowhead frames, like, you know. So by golly, somehow or another, they asked Dad, would you donate it to the museum? And Dad says, sure. And the archaeologists had a kind of a funny looking on their face, you know. And Dad said, it made me laugh really at the time, because he says, oh, what's wrong that you didn't want to reply so quick? He says, I'll tell you what, he says, we couldn't even have your name on even today if you donate it. And Dad was outspoken. He said, I'll tell you what, you can go to hell. That was his words. And then the ones from Saskatoon come. I don't know whether they talked together or not. And I guess they wanted Saskatoon archaeologists come out here and ask the same thing, you know. And by golly, Dad gave them the same answer. And then we had a grave in the pasture. It was on the road allowance, and we were fencing. And by golly, there was, you had the crowbar to make the hole for the fence post. So by golly, here, I had the crowbar and I hit it into the ground to stay, you know, while I get the post ready. And by golly, I hit stone, and I hit another one and another one. And I wonder, well, what could it be? And by golly, it was a grave, a little grave. And we had told different ones, but we didn't tell them where. So the archaeologists all come out and they come with their tools and all, and our neighbor had a grave in their pasture. So by golly, word went around that there's a grave, Indian grave, in Elvis pasture. So somehow or another, this neighbor, he was kind of a thief and kind of a troublemaker. told the archaeologists, say they come out and by golly, they dug it. So then they heard that we had one, and Dad says, yes, we do. He says, could we dig it? And Dad says, oh, yes, sure. But I'll tell you, before we dig it, let's go and dig your grandma and grandpa's graves, and your mother and dad's. Oh, they kind of looked. And that, how was it? They wanted the arrowheads too. And they just didn't want his name on there. So Dad told them where to go, and it stayed in the family.
But the one that was dug up was a baby,
His little baby.
a little baby, and it had little string of
Well, those are some of the
stones.
Beads. Yeah, there's
Little
little
beads
beads
up there.
way up there. Do you see the little beads?
On that, yeah, on the yellow.
Right up there.
Oh, the little, oh. Do you happen to know the names of the archaeologists who came out?
Oh, golly, different ones have.
Uh-huh. And this would be anybody out in the last 20 years to take a look at these, at your
Yes.
collection?
Oh, yes.
Which?
They've been throughout the years.
Yeah, but this last while they haven't since Dad told them off.
So how long ago was that?
Oh, golly, that must be. We're in here, what?
Since '83.
Yep, and that was way before that. Then they quit coming.
And do you know what sort of work, what they were doing with the research when they came out to look at the arrowheads? Do you know what they were doing when they went back to their ivory towers? What they did with your, I'm guessing they took photographs and measurements. Did they tell you?
Well, they were really excited about it, you know,
Oh, yes.
but they didn't want to give any recognition
No,
at all.
And they didn't want to let you know what they were doing with the
No.
research?
no,
No.
no.
Oh.
No.
So that kind of spoiled your
And just a
interest
short
with it.
time after that, there was a group of Indians came out to Regina, and they took their baby home.
Yep. See, it was
So
advertised.
it was such a sad story, you know.
See, this little baby that they found in Elvis pasture was, the skull was crushed. So it was put out in the museum, the skull. And I guess they heard of it because it was on radio at that double TV. And I guess the Indians or First Nation, they turned around and they wanted the skull or they had to give it up. Yep, and then I guess they had a burial or what, I don't know. Yes, yep.
Do any of the First Nation bands know about this collection?
Very little.
See, and Dad had a log, oh God, he had a book of it, and where that went, I don't know, because they had a princess from the States, that Indian princess, come to see it. And oh my gosh, she was really thrilled. Yeah, she sure liked it.
Yeah, she was a beautiful person, and she just didn't want to walk away from them, you know.
Oh, Dad, see, we used to get the school kids down here.
Yeah.
They used to come down and they'd have cards, and some of we kept some we didn't.
So tell us about the paperwork that you had to get from the provincial government for the arrowhead ownership.
Well, Mom and Dad wrote about it. Like, and then somehow another dad had mentioned to them that is it his or not? And they said, yes, it is. We'll send you a recognition that it is yours, yes. But we couldn't sell it or trade it or so forth. And we never had anybody donate or nothing. It's all between us that picked it.
And what about the items that are in this cabinet over here?
Oh, in here,
Mm-hmm.
those are Indians, I
Were
think
you
they're
leading
called
those?
tomahawks.
Okay.
And the ring, the ones with the rings, we found them all in the field there, on that land. And there was something else. I'll just show you. See, this stuff that we had thrown away, and we never realized they were Indian artifacts. This we thought, oh, that's just a stone. And the archaeologist was there, he says, no. He said, your finger went there, and that was to scrape the hide. Yes. Oh, there's,
Oh,
we
lovely.
threw stuff away that we never realized what was what. And then, oh, I can't put it back.
Mom, can you help?
And here's another one. Now you'd swear that was cut out with a hacksaw, isn't it?
It's
And
very,
that had to be another stone sharp, and they cut it out. For what reason? They must have had a string on it or something. They said it was used as a weapon and used as a scraper again. You know? It's almost like part of an axe, you know?
is that, well, you know, you're more familiar with tools. Is that something you could lash onto a pole to make it into an axe?
Yes.
Do you think?
Probably leather, you know, and probably the wood would have been here or something, you know. And then,
Oh my,
now there's a stone there,
it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
and it's kind of dished out.
Yes.
And then there's a cut, a groove in here, and a groove in here, and then a groove in there, and here. And we thought that was used for frying, you know, eggs or something, or bird's eggs or whatever. We didn't realize what it was. And the archaeologist told us it was a mold to make slippers,
Moccasins.
moccasins.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's so smooth. It sure looks nice. And never ever got damaged or broke or nothing, no. And then there's other, oh, that's not, I can put this back in. Now look how crude that is. And we just about threw that away too. See, it's grooved off here and here. They said they heated the stone and so forth, and they used it for chipping it out. And this one, the same thing. They had it be in there, and they'd be chipping, but that's kind of a dull edge, isn't it?
Must have been hard work, because how would you chip on something round, you know?
Or do you think it might have been pointed once upon a time and they wore it down, couldn't
Could
use
be.
it anymore,
could
so they
be.
just
Mhm.
discarded
Yes, it
it?
could be, yes,
Yes, it could be.
yeah.
If only the stones could tell us more.
Yes.
Which is your favourite stone?
To tell you the truth, that one, at the very end, that one in that,
In here?
yes, yeah, the big arrowhead,
It's a beauty.
yes.
Yeah, that one there. It is
Now,
a beautiful stone.
Our oldest daughter turned around and in touch with, I don't know, with the computer or whatever it was, to see what the price of arrowheads would they have any in the States? And you wouldn't believe what they are priced at. Because you take the one with the tent, we have that, there's lots of them that's in there that we have here, yep. And it's thousands and thousands of dollars. It's unbelievable.
They can sell them, in the States, they can sell them and trade them, but you can't here. You
No.
get in big trouble.
Do you know what kind of stones these were made from? Because there's
Oh.
a lot of different colours.
Where's that one here, Edna? This here is medicine stone. Those two. And this one just looks like a Dutch shoe. That was just found in the garden. And then there's a bead. It's got a hole in it. And we have some more of that somewhere. Oh, now this one here. It's out of flint. It's all. And the private collector come, and he was looking at it, and he wanted to buy it. And Dad didn't want to sell any, and finally his last bid was $500. And Dad says, no, because maybe I'll never ever find one again. And then he found a little one. Where's that one? Oh, right there. Right to the center.
It's just like a needle, but there's
Yeah.
no eye. You know?
Yeah, to see from here how tiny it
Yeah.
looks.
And then we found, see all these scrapers? There's seashell. We found quite a bit of seashell. And that was all brought in from the States. And there's been verified, there's one in there, that one there is a human tooth, but the other is animal. Oh, they had quite a story they had. And which one was so valuable? Gee, I forget.
And there's a good scraper.
Yep. But there's one that's kind of coated. It's a certain stone. God, I can't see it. It's here somewhere. I don't know.
So if that green tray behind you, case behind you, is sort of material from the States, is it possible that some of the other arrowheads came in from different parts of, I'll say, the States and Canada?
It could have,
So on the
yes.
trading patterns, do you think?
They talked about saying that most of the stones were brought in from the States. Yep.
Did they say which tribe?
They actually
Yeah.
were surmising that there could have been a war,
The battle.
a battle in that area. Because, you know, why were there so many stones laying around like that?
And do you have a theory of your own as to why so many were found on that 1/4 section? Do you have any?
We always
Any theories?
surmised that it probably, just like the wife says, that there was a battle, probably. And there's one arrowhead, it's a different tribe altogether. Oh, right here, that one there,
The brown one?
the brown one, yes. That's a different tribe altogether, we only found one.
Oh, okay. Did you find any buffalo remains? Any bison kills?
That was a buffalo head there.
Oh, wow.
And that was found, Dad was cutting hay in the slough, and by golly, this was halfway in the ground.
Oh my.
Yes, and this one is for grinding. Now there's that grinding stone in there, you know, that's upright,
Uh-huh.
and that was for grinding whatever grain they had. And there's an axe. But look at this one here, it's a crude one. Okay. This one right in the corner.
That's huge.
It is, and it's so awkward looking.
Uh-huh.
But look at this one here.
And what is that big thing in the corner there? Is that a piece of stone or is that a skull bone?
It's the one right in the corner.
Yeah, that big thing.
It's a stone. Yes. Oh, and then sometime we found some of these tomahawks, what they called it, I think, with the ring on it. Dad had found one about like a golf ball. It had a really nice ring around it. And then we found a little one that was, another one that was fair size. It was always by the steps, beside the steps. And he kept telling Dad and me to get it out of there, get it out of there. And this kept on going for about, I don't know, I'd say half the year anyway. Mom got teed off and she got it and she threw it in the bush. The bush was right beside I'd say about 40 feet from the house. And you think we could find it? We went down there and
You were
looked for
scared of it.
hours and hours, and we never did find it. And we never had one that small. And those are all buffalo teeth. You know, when they were, when we summer fall got a rain, and you look in the field and you could see kind of white. You know, the whole field kind of, that was 50 acres there. And most of it was buffalo teeth and parts of the bone. And we collected some of them. And the neighbor said before the dog armature, he was a doctor, he owned the land before Dad got it. And so what happened there, how big was that? I forget what I was going to say, it wasn't a lie either.
Something about Doc Armitage and the teeth?
Pardon?
You talking about Doc Armitage and teeth?
No, he was a dentist,
Oh,
but
dentist.
he lived on the farm where folks bought later on, and God, I can't think of it.
I can't think of it either because I wasn't there then.
But you were talking about the buffalo teeth
Yeah.
Yes.
and finding them on the ground.
You see, and the bones were all, I mean, they wouldn't be thick, you know, and you could see it when it rained, that these kind of shone out or what in the black soil, you know. Yes.
Were there ever any teepee rings on the land?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there was.
You
There was-
recognized them right away?
There was stones right around, like, you know, and it was kind of hollowed out a little bit. Yes.
There were a lot of pieces of kettles and stuff like that.
See, there's a big mistake we did. We found all kinds of pottery. When we were there, I broke quite a bit of land for Dad, like, you know, and there's different designs on there. And there's all the designs. Some of them have holes in it, some have a little design. If you go right up to it, then it
Oh,
looks,
so that top orange one, that's all pottery bits.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But the
Yeah,
downfall was, what we should have done,
This here is all pottery that was destroyed later or fell apart.
Oh, wouldn't this be a wonderful jigsaw puzzle
Wouldn't
for
it?
somebody to put all back together again?
Yes.
Oh, this is like an archaeological gold mine.
but one
Yes.
thing we did wrong, when we found the pottery, when I broke the land, and you know, and we should have put it, each ring where it was or near it, should have put it in a separate can. And they say some of that pottery, they can put a a pot together, and some only maybe a quarter or a third, and some they couldn't. Yes, yeah.
So the TP rings on your land ended up being ploughed over.
Yes, yes.
So they're gone now.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
Did your mom or dad ever encounter any First Nations people when they first came?
But Dad did, because my grandpa, when he come out, Dad was just small, and he come out from Hungary, and anyway, they had come to the farm where they had lived last, but they left the farm and sold the farm, and they moved to the States, and then by God he moved back, and then I kind of went ahead of myself. But anyway, when my grandma woke up one morning, and by golly, here she sees a tent, Indian tent. So grandma right away gets hold of Dad's hand and says, let's go and see the neighbors. And by golly, they could see this horse there, and this, by golly, when they got closer, they seen the Indian come out of the tent. And by golly, Grandma got scared, and she grabbed Dad's hand and ran with him back home. But the Indian got to his horse, and got on the horse and drove away horseback. He didn't bother him at all, no. Yeah. And I guess they were just going through or something, Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, it's over 100 years, 110, 112.
yeah.
This is the largest collection in Western Canada.
Private collection.
Yeah, private collection.
And it's wonderful that it can stay in Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading the other day about a collection that ended up going to somewhere in Alberta. I think the Glenbow Museum has it now. And they were from Saskatchewan. It's like, well,
Is that right?
yes.
Oh,
Well, that would be a shame.
That's what, that was the drift of the article as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But these are beautifully mounted.
And it's also wonderful that you're going to lend it to the Heritage Center so that other people can see it.
yes,
It's a little more public.
for sure.
And I think the schools will start to, come to see them, and residents, and yeah, I think it'll be enjoyed by a really wide audience
Oh, yes.
if it's displayed there.
Because some of the kids are growing old, they're growing up 3 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know what grade it was that took some,
Every year.
things about the Indians and when they were here. And every year we get the next group, for quite a while, but then they stopped. I don't know whether they didn't learn anything more about the Indian culture or what.
Just a change in curriculum,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But they thought that we were too old.
No.
Yeah. So I'm thinking there's probably a new breed of archaeologists, and if they wanted to come and look at the collection, we can let them do that.
You mean over here or there?
No, here. When I say a new breed of archaeologists, I mean the archaeologists who are working nowadays. I'm thinking they're probably different to the ones that were maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yes.
So you would be okay with them coming to look at these, and you want them to credit the Farago name.
That's right, yes. Because they'll never get it otherwise, no. I promised I'd never give it to them, not supposed to give it to them, so they'll never get it.
No, but if they were doing any work with the arrowheads, they must reference the Farago family name,
Yes.
and I would agree with that too. Yes, I think we all would.
Because he we collected for years.
Oh, yes,
We quit in what, 67?
yeah.
I forget. It would have been. See, Lorna, they were just little kids. We quit after that.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful collection.
It is.
And the funniest part, you know, we farmed and then we were gonna, I got a job being a resource officer, conservation officer. And then I sold the land. And Dad says to me, he says, make sure you got the agreement that you go on that land and that you'll notify him that we could pick arrowheads there, you know, to look. And, oh, Dad, I says, I trust everybody. So by golly, we did make agreement, but with all the bins we had and tin bins and all loaded with grain, then he mentioned to Edna that one time, he says, you know, if Leslie passes away, you know, all that grain is mine. That's his. That made me kind of think. But he was supposed to get the property, like each grain, as the grain disappeared from the bins, you know. So anyway, he was a thief, but I know what all. We had 2 lines of machinery of everything in the same yard. We lived in the same yard. We had 2 houses. And so anyway, the way it turned out, he says, oh, let's do it by word of mouth. And I says, no. Oh, come on, nowadays they do that. And so I went to Kent Gordon, and we went into Kent Gordon. He says, we'll just have a word of mouth, and King Gordon give it to him, you know. He says, where do you get that from nowadays? So anyway, he says, then we forgot to, I thought I could trust it in him that we could go anytime then, you know, because he said, oh yeah, you can come. So by golly, as the time went, I'd say about a year, would it be? He phones me up, oh, we phoned him that we'd like to go out there look for arrowheads, like he says, no. He says, you keep off that land off of there. Good. Well, that buddy said we did keep off. We didn't pick no more even. I mean, we didn't, we thought we were going to start looking again, but we didn't. So anyway, when he phoned up, he says, Les, you come out and show us where those arrowheads are, and we could go and pick arrowheads together. And I told him pretty well what Dad told him. I told the archaeologist. So he never ever found any, and so that ended that. Yeah. No, nowadays, mostly you could trust the people, is that? And
Hope so.
there's always
Yeah,
one
you hope
that
so.
is very truthful. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's Uncle Mike,
Yeah.
and this is a friend of Uncle Mike's.
Oh, he's not a
Well,
relative.
what the hell is he doing in a family picture?
I don't know,
And that's,
Uncle Frank.
I'm seeing Plainview Farms. Plane, it's like, who are Plainview Farms? Because they seem to have a heck of a
See,
time.
that's your picture there.
yeah.
And I don't.
That's Burr.
Huh?
That's
With
a Burr.
Leslie?
No, it's Whitetown.
No,
Burr threshing outfit.
Hannigan.
Everybody, just in, what, in a new map?
They're looking for one for this year.
Oh, okay.
Hannigan's Burr threshing.
But everybody is so,
It's the original picture.
Yeah, but what is that name? Isn't that Burr?
and I know a lot of the land in our area has been
Hannigan's-
bought up by big corporations and then
That's
reset.
the picture they wanted. I know where they're looking
Is
for.
it like?
Just the original one.
Yeah,
Oh, it
There's
is.
your Charlie McGinnis.
it was the balls that sold, not the balls that
It's the
sold.
only one I know on there.
And now the company that bought their land.
Who is Charlie McGinnis?
Yeah.
He was a picture in Market
Oh,
one
no,
time.
they got it up for sale
Oh, up
again.
for sale?
Yeah.
Oh,
that is up for sale again.
No,
And it was just bought 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah. Oh, but they're,
Trying to be a millionaire.
yeah, but Doug wouldn't.
Well, Doug had nothing to do with it, it
No.
was the company that bought it.
Yeah.
Did Kathy go?
No.
Across the other side of the lake. But it, I
Those
haven't got a clue.
ones are buying lands up to big companies.
I'm guessing so, because they've got their lake there,
I wonder though if that would be the farm that, is just right across the lake. And when you go to Lorna's. But I'm thinking
It
it
could
might
be.
be.
Could be,
I'll have to inquire.
because that's right along the way. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of lavender in
Yeah, they kind of changed hands and there was the, yeah. Yes.
So who is this guy here then? This is your? That's my great grandpa.
there. Grandpa's dad or grandma's